Okay, so I wanted to do a video for our fans and our sponsors. 2021 is in the books. The race season is done. Wind blew our door too. The race season is done and it's in the books. So let's go over what happened. Let's recap this season. We started our season off in Shelby, North Carolina, Shadyside, with a fast car. The fastest car we've had. Now, let me start with this. This year, we did not have an intention to run all 11 races. From the start, our intention was never to run all 11 races. We had a game plan that we mostly stuck to. There was a few hiccups in there. There was a couple races we missed that we actually had planned on being at, but I'll get to that. Our game plan this season was to be an experimental season. I haven't let anybody in on our plans prior or during the season, but let's recap it, and maybe this will shed some light on why we did the things we did this season. We didn't have as many sponsors on board this season. We actually only had one main sponsor on board this season. We had some smaller ones throughout the season, but our one main sponsor was Cashman's famous barbecue sauce out of Ohio, and you really should check them out. They're awesome. We knew from the start we were going to use this as kind of a building season. Now, we had intentions to run Shadyside. We had intentions to run Alabama, Farmington, Knoxville, Ohio, Kentucky, and the next Shadyside one. We had intentions to run 7 races this year. 7 or 8, maybe it was 8 races. But anyway, we had intentions to run a majority of the season. But we wanted to test some things. And I'm gonna explain why, and hopefully at the end of this video it's all clear. We wanted to test some things. Now, to a lot of folks that was watching us, we did struggle. We did have some struggles this season. I'm not gonna say we didn't. To a lot of the folks that was watching us, it didn't make sense the way the season went. It was kind of all over the place. That was intentional. Here's why, or here's what's going on. We started our season at Shadyside. We started our season at Shadyside with an engine that we had been running for 2 years. Same combination, no changes. And we made a fast pass. In between Shadyside and Alabama, we made a lot of test hits. We changed some things. I'm not going to tell you what we changed, but we changed some things. We experimented around a little. I'll say this, we made some suspension changes between the 2 races. We showed up at Alabama and went into a completely different bracket of numbers, let's say. Not only did we have a faster car, we had a lot faster car. Now, we tested on Friday night, which we never do, with, let's say, some experimental suspension parts. The car made an amazing pass. It was insanely fast, but we broke one of the suspension parts that we was testing. It was a part that I had made. I made the part. This is where I'm different than a lot of guys. Instead of buying an expensive part, because you can see I don't have a big, huge shop and all, and not deep pockets. Instead of buying a part, I tend to make some parts to experiment with them and see if they work or if they don't work, or if they make a positive or negative change. And based on that, I'll spend the money to buy a part. I don't spend the money up front. So one of the parts I made broke. It did work. It made an amazing pass, but the part broke. So Saturday came around and we qualified. I don't even remember. I think 10th or so. Had a good car all day. Made a slight tuning error during the elimination rounds, and we went out first round. Not upset about that at all. Alabama was a little unique because we also broke a hub on our trailer in Alabama, and it was a nightmare to get out of there. And a big thank you to Ken Rainwater, big ass world champion for 2021. He took us to his shop, and we band-aided the trailer back together and got it home. A very unique failure that I'm not even going to go into in this video. After Alabama, we pulled the motor out of the car. Now this was a planned thing we were going to do. We didn't necessarily have it planned at this moment. I found some moisture in the engine. Turns out it was just condensation, but we went ahead and pulled the motor. Made some major engine changes. We had planned on racing in Ohio, and we did not make the Ohio race. We didn't make Farmington or Ohio because of these changes we were making. But we changed, and we showed up at Knoxville with a completely different engine package, different suspension package, and 60-footed. Dear God, the 60-foot. We made a 60-foot that I never even, the number that it made in the 60-foot was never even in my mind as a consideration or as a possibility to make that 60-foot. It was a 60-foot of an amazing 60-foot. Just we never considered making that big a leap on a 60-foot. We wanted to improve on it, but that number was not even a number we had in our mind. We knew we had an amazing setup there. We had an engine failure after the race, not at the race, but after the race. And we came back to Shadyside with a different engine combination. We ran 5 races this season in total, I believe, if my math is right. We was planning on running like 7. We only ran like 5 this season. It was planned from the start, and I'm not making any excuses for the things that were broken, things and things that didn't go right, because that happens. But here's what we were doing. We ran 3 different engine combinations, all FEs, because that's all we run, despite what, let's let that go. We run FEs, that's all we've ever run. So, the car will always be FE powered. This Galaxy will always be FE powered. So, we ran 3 different combinations. All 3 of those combinations only had one thing different. Well, 2 things. Only had 2 things different in them. That was intentional. I intentionally had all 3 of these combinations almost exactly the same, except for 2 things. I wanted to see what those 2 things really done. I know what the books say. I know what people say. I wanted to know firsthand what those things really did. I wanted that information. The next thing we done is we changed the suspension at every race. Every race we went to, the suspension was completely different. People kept telling me I was crazy for changing the stuff like that, but again, I needed to know what each one of these changes would make. I've got a notebook. Laying over there this thick, full of notes that I made at each race. I'm going to make a statement that I've never made in my entire. I've been with Southeast Gas since 2018, and I've never made this statement about an upcoming season. Short of the Lord calling me home, we are making a hard charge to try to win a championship in 2022. Now, I know there's going to be people that have watched me race over the last few years that are probably sitting there laughing right now, and I don't give a shit. Laugh. I don't care. 90% of the people who are watching this are probably chuckling a little bit right now, and I don't care. Doesn't matter to me the opinion you have. There's probably 5% that could care less if I make a run for the championship, but there's there's that other little 5% right there that's wondering what I'm doing right now. And I'm not going to tell you everything I'm doing, but what I'm going to tell you is that this season was intentionally what it was to set us up for the next season. And we already know exactly what we're doing for it. For a couple of years, I've been collecting, well, you can't see them, I've been collecting parts. There's a pile of parts right back there that I've been collecting for the 2022 season. In 2018 when we started, we had basically I don't want to say a 5-year plan because I didn't really put a time level on it, but I had a plan. 2018 was for me to go out and figure out how the track worked, how being on the track worked, how being part of Southeast Gassers worked. 2019 was for me to work on me, on my skills. By the way, 2019 we finished 6th in the world. And 2019 was a season for me to improve on me. 2020 was supposed to be the season that we improved on the car, and we worked on the car. The world kind of went crazy and messed that up, so we kind of shifted that to 2021. This year was all about experimenting with the car. So the first year was about understanding drag racing and drag racing with Southeast Gassers and how track life worked. The second year was all about improving me as a driver, improving how I listened to the car, how I shifted, shift points, how I worked how I worked my feet, everything. The second year was all about improving me. The third year was supposed to be solely about improving the car. We figured all that out now. So now we understand what we've got to work with. We understand what we need to do to move forward. We understand what cubic inch motor we need and what weight we need. We understand what compression we need. Remember that experimentation that went on there. We understand what gear ratio works. We understand what gears in the transmission work. We've made a lot of changes, and we've done all this intentionally. 2022, we are making a charge for a championship. 2022, we, short of the Lord calling us home, we have intentions right now of being at all 11 races because that's what it takes to win a championship. And we are going to work incredibly hard to be a champion. Am I going to make the bold statement and say we will? No, absolutely not. There's always going to be guys that show up that'll be spoilers. There's always going to be guys that come out of nowhere that you don't expect. I will never tell you that I will be the world champion. I'll never make that statement. What I'm going to say is I don't know if anybody's going to try harder than me next year. I don't know if anybody is willing to do what I'm willing to do to make this happen for next year. I'm not making this statement lightly, and I'm not trying to tell everybody they need to be put on notice, and I'm not trying to do any of these things that people are going to make this video out to be. People are going to make this video out to be something it's not. What I'm telling you is the intentions of our race program for next year, our full intentions of the race program next year is to be a contender at the last race, so that when it comes down to the last race and they list out the names of people that are mathematically still in to become the Southeast Gasser Superstock World Champion, that my name is on that list. My sole purpose was knowledge. My sole purpose the last few years was to learn, because I know without the knowledge and without the learning that I've done over the last few years, I couldn't sit here today and say I'm making a charge for it, because I had no idea what I was getting into that first year. I had a better idea that second year when we finished sixth in the world. I had a better idea, and I had in my mind, and it told me that I should just leapfrog this program and the next year go ahead and make a charge for that championship, but I had to stick to the plan. I had to stick to the plan that we had, because it was a sound plan. Now, there's been a lot of new guys come that are way faster than I ever thought this class would get. But that's okay. At the end of the day, you got to outrun everybody. You have to outrun them all. That's what we're going to try to do next year. So, with that being said, now you understand where we're headed in our future. I look forward to you keeping up with us over the winter as we make our endeavors forward. And I'll end by saying this: if you want to be part of this team, if you want to be part of this, like everybody else, we can use sponsors. The people that get on board with us now are going to be the people that help us make this come true, and are going to be the people that we carry forward. The people that are on this car now are the people that will be carried into victory lane. They're the people that will be standing on that platform at the end of the year at our banquet when they say 2022 World Champion Bobby Frizzell, Southeast Gasser Superstock, and then the list of sponsors. They're going to be the people I don't forget. And I promise you, if it happens, I've got something special for every one of you. So if you're interested in being part of a car that's got 50 years of history, if you're interested in being part of a team that is very much a backyard built team, let us know. We're going to carry you to the top. Because this year, we fully plan on fighting like we're the third monkey on the ark and it's starting to rain. Be prepared. You may outrun us. But it ain't gonna be easy. We'll see y'all in 2022.